You know Luffy and Nami and Usopp and Zoro, but do you recall the cutest straw hat of all? Chopper the blue-nosed reindeer had a very human-like stance, and if you ever saw him, you would give a second glance. Then all the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names, and all the other wanted to be. All right. Hey everyone. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about the Sky Island arc, I think it's called, or the next arc directly following the Alabasta arc in One Piece. As a part of my One Piece journey. If you are new here, then hello, welcome, big huge hello and welcome to you. For all of you returning, you know how much I just love and appreciate all of you, and I'm so glad you can join us. I love to read. That is my main thing. I am on a mission to create and to have the healthiest reading life that I can possibly have. And right now I am absolutely loving Oda's masterpiece, One Piece. So if you want to subscribe to my channel, I would encourage you to do so. Liking the video always really helps with its life in the algorithm. And also actually watching the video all the way through. Even if you have it on silent, even if you just let it play, that sometimes helps the life of the video get its grips in the algorithm and is always quite helpful. So yeah, those are all things that you can do to help out my channel. But mostly, I'm just glad that you're here and you're spending time with me. And let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. One day I will finish that Rudolph the Red-Nosed, Chopper the Blue-Nosed Reindeer song. One day I will, and I'll sing the whole thing. I'm still working on it. And I love when you all give me lyric recommendations in the comments below. I've gotten a couple of those and they are fantabulous. So, I have notes actually. Can you believe that? I have notes. I usually have my iPad. I felt a little, I don't know. Alabasta, I always kind of do this thing where I reflect on the last arc as I'm starting the new arc. Or the last video, which I split into two videos, and it was the Alabasta arc, and I liked it. I think I might have missed a couple of things in my discussion. A lot of it was that I was really in the grips of the story, that I was just like letting it absorb me, and I was just in this, like I was like in it, you know, like when you're hitting a stride and you're just like reading and you're kind of reading fast, but it's because it's this enjoyable, succulent, delicious, juicy moment that you're just like in, you know, it's like you're not really, there's this it's interesting reading something and reporting back what I read, because there's the moment in which I'm reading, which I'm enjoying, but then there's also this meta moment where I'm trying to note all the times that I have a thought and then actually annotate, you know, that moment or screenshot it. And so it's always a little bit meta, because I'm thinking about my thinking and I'm thinking about my enjoyment, and I'm thinking about the work as I'm enjoying the work. And so sometimes there are parts of Alabasta where I was just purely enjoying the work and not thinking about my thinking and not having that metacognitive experience. So that was kind of interesting. And it's not that I don't let myself have that. It's just that sometimes I really try and keep the metacognition at the front of my mind so that I can report back really accurately. But I feel like I did miss some things. However, here is the most wonderful thing about books and reading. At least one of the things that I enjoy is that with any spectacular read, when you go back to it, like you have your first read, right? Then there's this moment where you can go back to it. You can do a reread. And there are always, if it's a truly spectacular read or it's a truly enjoyable read, then going back to it often, you know, because I've changed as a person in between the first read and the second read, when I go back to it, I get something different out of it. And the revisitation of it is very enjoyable, beautiful, because I have changed as a person and I see different things and I pick up different things from the read. And I don't think that one piece is going to be a one and done read for me. I do think that I'll eventually reread it. I would love to read it with my kids. I think that would be an incredible moment to introduce them to the story so that we can have conversations about it when they're a tiny bit older. I just don't think that this is like my first rodeo with this piece of work. And anyways, so having said that I feel as if, and according to the comments, I think that I missed like some nuances or some plot beats as I was discussing it. And, you know, I always have to sort of, you know, I'm always processing what y'all are talking about. I take your comments to heart, and so then I'm like, well, you know, it's okay if there's some things that I may have sort of didn't fully absorb or that I might have glossed over that were important, because there's always a reread, and that's one of the beauties of reading, you know. That's one of the finer points in life. You know, one of the enjoyments in life is rereading, and I love to reread. I don't do it as much as I should, but rereading is super great. So I guess that's my preamble about, or my post-amble about Alabasta. And you know what, I also noticed, but then I remembered, because y'all have been so amazing, but some people call it Alabasta and some people call it Arabasta, but then I remember that the translations of the L's and the R's in Japanese can be translated, which is why Zorro is mistranslated as Zolo, which is wretched, y'all. And I know that it's a real sticking point in the community that Zorro's name is truly mistranslated, because it really is Zorro, and yet it is not written that way, and that's very frustrating. So at first I was like, did I mistitle my video? Was I saying it wrong? And then I was like, no, girl, like, you're not saying it wrong. It is Alabasta and not Arabasta. But I mean, it could be Arabasta, and I'm not gonna get sucked into that trap where I felt like I got it wrong, when in reality the translation for L's and R's in Japanese are interchangeable. So I think that's it. The thing I was going to start with is how in the world does Oda do it? Like, how is he so creative? I just am baffled by it every time. Like, I'm delighted, surprised. Everything about it is so wonderful. His creativity, that is. And how does he maintain this creative, like, in a lot of ways it's hyperbolic. Some of the things that he does, there's so much hyperbole in his illustrations. Everything is very over the top, cuckoo's bananas, crazies, off the rails, incredible. But then there's also just these moments where I'm like, that's really smart. How did you do that? So one of the things that in like that was really smart, how did you do that moment, is the fact that, so this ship falls from the sky, and there are these our straw hats decide to go into like scuba diving outfits, but they're pirates, and you know, what are you going to use for scuba diving? And so what they end up using for like their scuba diving gear are barrels of air. I was like, that's so smart. Kind of like back to Alabasta when Luffy is fighting Sir Crocodile. He is wearing this, he's drinking water and drenching himself in water, and you know, like, that was really smart and creative, and it works. Like, the thing that, it's not just the creativity, but it like works with the world, which I think there are, you know, something like this sort of wild and imaginative, you do have to keep it within the confines of the world. And I do think that there would be moments that wouldn't work. Like, if they all of a sudden did have scuba diving outfits, it you know, might feel incongruent with the world that Oda has created, this life on the sea. But barrels of air, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. And so basically our Straw Hats are going to sort of check out this ship that is crashed and sunk, and they're digging around, looking around. And it's kind of all because of Miss All Sunday, who is an archaeologist, I believe, and she's fascinating because I actually really like her as a character, but particularly because she's so grounded. She's this female character that has a very chill vibe about her. We see Nami very flustered. We see Vivi actually extremely passionate. And there are times where Nami gets frustrated, and there were times where Vivi would like be extremely emotional. And I'm not saying that Miss All Sunday or Robin would not be like that, but one of the things is that she just seems to have this calmness about her, this maturity, this groundedness. I also really like her haircut, by the way. Like, I really enjoy her haircut. And I just loved that she is so, it seems like poised. There's a poise about her. Even when she was rescuing Luffy from the sands of Alabasta, there's a sense about her where she's not in a hurry, not rushing, not grasping at straws to get him out. She's just like very secure within herself and has this confidence within herself. She's also one of the few Straw Hats that Luffy has not recruited. He's recruited the vast majority of the Straw Hats and, like, you know, pulled them in with his charm and his silliness, like he does with all of us. It's like we are the Straw Hats, and his charm and silliness and also emotional maturity, he pulls us in, and so he's done that with a lot of the crew members. He's pulled them in with those same qualities. But Miss All Sunday, or Robin, she wants to join the Straw Hats, and then there's this moment where you're like, can you be trusted? Can you not be trusted? Can you be trusted? Can you not be trusted? And so having her join has been a really fascinating facet to this story. And it does beg the question, like, are you a true Straw Hat? Are you here for real, or are you faking it? I don't know. I also thought her background in archaeology was really well placed in terms of Robin. Her archaeology background is very helpful, and it's already coming in handy. And so Oda knew what he was doing because she's able to talk about the history of things and the past. And I think that that's really an important or a key element in this story, or will become more of a key element in this story as we are understanding, more about the world. Part of understanding the world is not this current landscape, but the past. And so she's able to have this eye on what has happened way back when. And so we find, that who was it? Like, I have Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji. They get in their barrels of air and they go to check out this ship, and they're looking for records. And then it's also like, there are things that I forget. Like, sometimes I forget that Nami is not only a navigator, but she's really great with maps, and she's good at drawing maps. And so whenever you see a map, it's like they defer to Nami for her expertise. Just like when somebody is sick or when there's something medically going on, they defer to Chopper. And so this Straw Hat crew, it's almost like, as a reader, sometimes I forget exactly what their specialties are, but Oda never does. And he's so good at, reminding us that Nami is a great navigator. She's excellent at it. And it's been really interesting to see Robin already show that she's a really good archaeologist. So, as they are looking around in this ship that has sunk, that came from the sky, a new pirate ship comes into the picture. The Salvage King, Masira? I think I said Messina? Is it Messina? Masira. I can't remember. My handwriting is terrible. But for the Salvage King, flattery is everything. They're like, you look like a monkey, and he's like so flattered. So he really oscillates in between being flattered and charmed by people, but like being really angry with people. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And then and he's like very territorial, so he's angry about his territory. So as the Salvage King, that ship is his, and nobody's allowed to like excavate it or to see what's going on. And so he's down there in the ship, and meanwhile, when they're on the ship gets eaten by a giant turtle, and also things get really weird. So like in quick succession, the ship gets eaten by a turtle, or it's in the mouth of the turtle. The sky grows dark. There's giants in the background, and they look like human giants, and they're not like any giants that we've seen before. They were like massive creatures, and the needle is pointing upwards. So at this part of our One Piece world, things are just really strange. Oh, and I noticed that Usopp lies, and y'all say pay attention to Usopp's lies because they're often true. And he says, I brought down 10 of those things, and I think it was the giants in the background. So I personally wonder if Usopp's lie is going to come true and he's going to take down 10 giants somehow. And I'm excited to see what happens there and how soon it will come true, or if we're going to have to wait a long time for that. And also, Robin and Nami have a moment of connection because Robin gives Nami an eternal pose that she steals from the Salvage King. And then Nami very kind of sweetly and kindly says, you're the only ally I have. And then Robin says, it seems like you put up with a lot with all the boys bickering and fighting in the background. I think Luffy is like, I have seagulls, it's time to eat. And you're like, okay, just sort of like, oh my goodness, they're so silly and mindless sometimes. But yeah. And then it's kind of like onward to JAYA. So they're at this new island, and it's a lawless place where ruffians gather. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we get introduced to Rachelle and Bellamy the hyena. We have all these really kind of gruff and rough people, and Luffy is so funny because he promises to Nami that he won't get in a fight, and she is like obliging him to keep his promise, and it's like trouble. So they're at this island where all the ruffians are, and yet Luffy's promising not to get into any fights, and Nami's trying to keep him to his promise, and yet temptation is everywhere. And so I love that. I love that. And I also noticed that at this ruffian island, and it might be something that happens more as we go forward, is that there's these notes in their nameplate card when somebody's introduced. They're also saying how much berries they're worth. And I was thinking that berries is so funny because it tells you sort of how much trouble they've gotten into. And then it starts to beg the question, like, why have they gotten in so much trouble? And what trouble have they caused? And what powers do they have to get them into that trouble? And so the berries are a measure of like someone's character, someone's background, someone's relationship with the Marines and how they operate in the world. And I think it's interesting that Oda is adding that to the nameplates. Okay, that's all I read. I read like, I don't know, 4 or 5 chapters, and I will be back when I have more to say. When I started this video, I am very certain that I said that I was reading like the Sky Island arc. No. I am reading the JAYA arc, and right now I've read like 4 chapters since I last checked in, and I have just finished chapter 226, and I thought it would be a good time to check in. So we meet this guy Bellamy, and he's like, I would call him Bellamy the bully because he's really trying to pick a fight with Luffy, and because of Luffy and Zoro's promise to Nami, they won't take the bait. But in a lot of sense, there is this pacifism to them, and even at one point, like the first person who breaks, well, before she actually breaks, there's like Bellamy's like beating up, punching, and beating up on Zoro and Luffy, and they've got like bloody noses, and at one point like he spits on them, which I think spitting is like the nastiest thing. It's just the grossest, like one of the most inhumane things that we can encounter from what that one person can do to another. But he like spits on them and he's punching them, and Luffy and Zoro are docile or pacifists or non-aggressive, you know, and they're trying to find out about Sky Island. And as they're starting to ask questions, there's also this mockery that is coming from all the people, including Bellamy. They're just like, you're fools, you're idiots for even believing in Sky Island. Like, what are you talking about? And actually the first person to break their resolve is Nami. So Nami's like, why don't you beat those guys up? And they were like, well, you told us not to. So it's like the same person that made them believe in this resolve is also the first person to break the resolve and say like, please, you know, beat them up. And I'm with Nami. I'm like, kick some Bellamy hiney. Like, we need some Bellamy butt kicked, because I don't like my sweet main characters getting beat up. Even though like that's also some of the most fun parts. I'll have to think on that. Maybe I don't like to see them lose. Maybe that's what it is. So when Zoro and Luffy go back to the ship all beat up, the first person who says that they need a doctor is Chopper. And then Usopp's like, that's you. like Chopper's like, you need a doctor, or call a doctor. And Usopp's like, that's you. I love that. It's so funny. That to me is like the Bill Watterson humor coming out again, the Calvin and Hobbes humor. And I just love that. And then we have like these mocking pirates, these pirates who don't believe in treasure, or they didn't believe in One Piece. And they didn't believe in Sky Island, and they're calling the Straw Hats wimps and all of that. And then we also have the first Salvage King, and then now we have a second Salvage King, the Salvage King of the seafloor. And Luffy sort of just blurts it out that they kicked the first Salvage King's hiney, and the second Salvage King, the Salvage King of the seafloor, is like, that's my brother! How dare you? And so, you know, now Luffy's gotten himself in trouble with the second Salvage King, and the Salvage King does this sound wave havoc sonar, in which he is singing, and the sound waves start to beat on the ship. And they're starting to like take apart all of the repairs that Usopp and Chopper did. So that, and then we get a map, and I think it is called Mock Island. And then there's this person on the other side of the island who is, I haven't really gotten there yet, but he was like driven away from the island because he had dreams and he believed in dreams. And so I'm getting this sense that we're going to cycle back around to dreams being taken in a couple of different ways. For some people, following their dream, like Luffy, and maybe this person that we're going to meet. To some people, following their dreams is like the thing that drives them, that keeps them going, that gives them a lot of momentum in their lives, that helps them make good choices. This idea of like chasing something that they want to better themselves for their goals, right? And then there are people who have lost that and who are just cynical, and I think that that's the division of JAYA, because they're of JAYA Island, or the JAYA area, because you have Mock Island, and I think it's those. I think maybe those pirates. I'm just kind of coming up with this on the fly, but I think maybe those pirates are the ones who have lost that childish ambition for life. And then we're going to see the opposite of somebody who has a passion, but he's also kind of known as someone who's maybe not sane. So I don't know, I guess we will see. And I think the person who was most successful in this was Robin, and I'm getting the sense that she has this charm, like she's incredibly charming. And so she continues to fascinate me. I feel like she comes up with these little surprises here, there, and everywhere, and I love that. I didn't expect her to be charming, I guess, But I'm finding her charming too, so I guess I don't know why I'm so surprised. And then we have another One Piece popularity poll, which I should rank. I should rank the ones that they have. Yeah, we'll see, because then that's ranking like 38 people, I think. So we'll see. I'll be back when I've read more. Hey guys, hi. So I'm here in the morning without without one stitch of makeup on, which is fine. I'm not self-conscious about that at all. And I didn't want too much time to pass before I talked about the next parts of the JAYA arc. So kind of two things are happening, and they're very Pinocchio related. They're very Usopp centric in my humble opinion. So one of which is that there is this legend that JAYA has gold hidden somewhere on it. Like there is this treasure, like a treasure island is another name for JAYA almost. And it's very treasure centric. And the other thing is that the Straw Hats are determined to find Sky Island. And so it's kind of like, where is this treasure? And it's sort of connected to legend and this island. But then there's Sky Island, and then there's this Mont Blanc Noland, who was a liar, but didn't tell false stories, just told outlandish stories. Very Usopp-y. Very, very Usopp-y. And this was like a fairy tale told years ago. And that there is, let me go back to the legend. Okay, yes, here is the legend. So Nolan said, I found a mountain of gold on an island in the vast sea. And then when the king and soldiers, after much peril, go to this supposed island, there's only a jungle. And then Nolan says, I know the mountain of gold must have sunk into the sea. And no one believed him anymore, but he stuck to his lies to the very end. And maybe there's like some speculation as to whether this mountain of gold is in the island in the sky. And as ancestors of Noland have gone in search of this, and actually Mont Blanc cricket, which I'm like, is that like Jiminy Cricket? Is it connected to Pinocchio in some way? He is not there for gold, and he's not there to find this mountain of gold, but rather to clear the Mont Blanc name. And meanwhile, the salvagers, the monkey salvagers, the gorilla salvagers, they work for Mont Blanc cricket. And I've gotten to the part where it's very Usopp-y. It's like, is it a lie, or is it actually truth, or is it a lie that ends up becoming truth? It's very hazy. And so Mont Blanc cricket says that there is that the Sky Island is real, and that there is indeed an island in the sky. Meanwhile, the townspeople are like, they're kind of cooking up their own stories, and like I have this feeling that angry villagers are going to attack Mont Blanc cricket in order to, get back at Luffy and Zoro, and to just prove that they're right. They're the ones who are right. And there is like some falsity, because as the Straw Hats are sailing to find Mr. Mont Blanc cricket, the guy who has big dreams, they see this like, lavish castle, only to realize that it's made out of plywood, and it's being held up by like this kind of small hut of a house. And so it's like a falsity, it's like this ruse, this trick. And so anyways, Mont Blanc cricket mentions that there is this space out in the ocean that will take you up to Sky Island, it seems. And it has to do with the clouds, and I think that the giants out there were connected to it. And so all the weird things that I had mentioned earlier that were happening around JAYA Island also has to do with, I think, the travel to Sky Island. And so now Mont Blanc cricket has joined the Straw Hats in their forces to go to Sky Island. So that's kind of where I was at, but I was like, oh, there's legends and lies and you know, what someone values. So for Mont Blanc cricket, clearing the Mont Blanc name is more important to him than to find a mountain of gold. And yeah, so, and then also like there have been generations of Mont Blanc crickets who have like disappeared out in the sea. Supposedly it's sort of leaning into the fact that they've gone to Sky Island. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm enjoying it. I think I'm just like a couple more chapters in, and it's been great, you know, it's been great. All right, I'm onward to reading. Mont Blanc cricket is describing the process of how to get to Sky Island, and it's quite exciting. It's sort of like there is this volcanic rush of water that shoots you straight upward into Sky Island, and it only happens 5 times a month, and it's sort of this natural phenomenon that no one dares research because it is perilous. And you know, of course, the first person to chicken out is Usopp, and but that's the way to get to Sky Island, is this like incredible eruption that just, and which is dangerous and could kill you, but that will get you to Sky Island. That's awesome. That's so cool. They're going to reinforce this ship. Oh my gosh. And the Salvage Kings are gonna help. That's awesome. Oh, the first person that questions everything is Usopp, and he is just saying everything is too convenient, you're too helpful, I don't understand why you're doing this, and I don't trust you because you're a descendant of Noland, the liar. Yet, I don't know, like, Usopp's been called a liar too. And, you know, the response is, you know, that ultimately, even if Mont Blanc cricket helps in all these different ways, it doesn't really guarantee success of survival. There's still a lot of luck involved. And so is it coincidence or is it fate that brought the Straw Hats to Cricket's house on a day in which they have just enough time to reinforce the ship and then to take this incredible risk to get to this infamous Sky Island? Or, you know, so what is it? Is it fate? Is it like what is it? And so then Usopp's now feeling bad because he realizes that maybe it is just out of this man's kindness that he's helping them. And he says that ultimately it is just luck, even if all these things have happened to come together, that ultimately our survival is just based on luck. And then he says, Nami, am I just a pitiful coward? And then she says, yup, and an idiot too, but I understand how you feel. So, you know, she's comforting in that moment, but in her very Nami-ish way. A mystery has arose. I saw the gold in the skull's right eye, and Cricket doesn't even know what that means. It's the last thing that Nolan wrote before he was executed for being a liar. And on the heels of the Straw Hats is Bellamy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Dream-seeking fools don't deserve gold. Oh my gosh, rude. How rude. I'm off to get ready for the day. I don't actually want to sit in this room and read right now. But once I've read a bit more and I have something to say, I will come and say it. Turning on the camera would help. So y'all are getting quite the vlog-like experience today. And here's why. I like to in all my videos, I let people in a little bit on what's going on. But, and I should say, my parents are coming into town, and that's so exciting. I am originally from California, and I'm currently living in South Carolina, which is such a long way from California. And every year or so, my parents come and stay with me. Every year, and sometimes even twice a year, they come and stay and visit with me and my husband, my kids. And so the room that I sit and chat with y'all in is kind of out of commission. I really was trying to bring it under the wire. I was like bringing it right to the edge of like when I needed to clean that room up. because I was just enjoying checking in about One Piece, making videos in general, checking in about One Piece. And so I had gotten to the point where I was like, I need to clean up this room. I need this to be guest friendly when they walk in. And I couldn't do that with all of my stuff around. And so I cleaned up the room, and now y'all are in my like sitting room, which, yeah, you're not really getting a lot of my sitting room, but you're getting a little bit of it. So let's actually talk, that's contextually what's happening. I think I'll finish the JAYA arc today, actually before my parents come. I am really enjoying the story, and I think it's gonna be great. My nose itches, so I feel like my nose is getting red. Let's actually just jump into the JAYA arc. I was just looking through the notes that I took for this arc, and it just says, I think I was wrong, so I'm gonna correct myself. I think I was saying that he wanted that, he looks like tomato head, triangle head guy, you know, cricket. He wanted to clear his ancestor's name, but it says, I got that wrong, I read that wrong. It doesn't matter whether I find it or not, the gold, the treasure. I'm not looking for the gold or to clear his name. So he's not looking for that. This is my battle with the man who ruined my life. Interesting. So it's more of like an internal battle, I think. I'm gonna have to keep my eye out for that. So let's think. I think I left off as to like how they get to Sky Island. Since there's no compasses that work, and since they don't have a correctly working log pose, they have to get a south bird, I think they call it. And what's kind of funny is that they break into teams. I don't know, it feels very Survivor, or like, not that I even watch Survivor. It feels very like The Amazing Race. Not that I watch The Amazing Race or Survivor, but it feels very that, because there's 3 teams. There's Sanji, Usopp, and Nami. The second team is Zoro and Robin. By the way, amazing pairing, amazing pairing. I feel like they're both very grounded and driven. And I was like, that is a very mature couple. And then we have Luffy and Chopper, which I'm like, not really sure about that one. And they're trying to catch this bird, and meanwhile the bird is like signaling for these massive bugs to attack in this forest, which is just phenomenal because I really love bugs. And so seeing these like huge centipedes and moths and spiders and praying mantis, grasshopper, like to see these like massive bugs attack just gave me quite the sense of joy. And I really like that. And then even the bird is like, whoever invades this jungle will die. But it's giving me very like Survivor vibes, maybe because they're in a jungle and they actually are trying to survive. Oh, and it's like all of this is on a time limit, because the next like opportunity to get to Sky Island is gonna like sort of go off, or like the opportunity is gonna pass them by within the day. So they have to find this bird within a few hours because it's nighttime and they only have until the next day to get this bird. And what else? That one guy, Bellamy, fights Cricket, and really does a number on poor Cricket. And Cricket ends up saying, or Triangle Head ends up saying, a spineless whelp that beats people's dreams out of them has no right to call himself a pirate. And it made me think about this theme that's been going on and on and on in this whole series about like what is a pirate. And there's this push and pull of the definition, like this fight over what is a pirate. You know, like how can you be a pirate when you have friends? It's just like everybody has a different definition of what a pirate is. And that I like that Triangle Head reveals something about his character, something about his internal motivations by saying anybody who beats the dreams out of someone else's cannot call himself a pirate. So a pirate has higher morals than being a bully, and that's just so great. Bellamy ends up leaving, and the Straw Hats find Cricket all like messed up, and Luffy ends up like leaving. This whole time he hasn't fought. He's been very pacifist throughout this whole journey thus far. And after he sees that Bellamy beat up Cricket and was just wretched to him, the sense, like the internal sense of justice and making things right and kind of putting somebody in their place that needs to be put in their place, that Luffy is so good at and that he ends up going and seeking out Bellamy. And so he's like, I'll be back by sunrise. And he's like on this mission. And I'm like, yes, Luffy. We love Luffy in this mode. Like, you know, ready to take back what is his and, or to take back, or to stick up for somebody who it has been damaged in some way. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Anyways, I'm going to keep reading. It's great. It's so great. Like, it's just, what a fun arc. It's very much, I don't know, I keep on thinking like a Survivor type show, like the time is ticking down, they only have so much time on this island, the bully has come up, we're seeing similar themes, and I don't know, I'm excited to continue. What a great arc. Like, the best SBS question just popped up and I wanted to share it. I have a serious question for you, Oda-sensei. Why is it that in the manga world, people always understand whatever language is being spoken no matter where they go? And the answer is because manga is about people's dreams. That really says a lot about Oda's character and about why he ties the themes of following your dream. I would imagine, I don't know much about Oda, so I'm just postulating, but I would imagine that creating his own manga and creating a world has been a dream of his for a very long time. I know that it says that he was a self-taught artist, and so to have the drive to create and learn and develop and grow and to work on this skill that that not everybody has even the opportunity to harness or to learn and develop, to chase after that dream even when I'm sure people told him you can't do it, it's not practical, or whatever they may have said, and to make those people, like those people in the same people who puts down Luffy's dream, his sort of outlandish dreams, or Zoro's dreams, or, you know, anybody's dreams, they're the bullies. And so I wonder if in a lot of ways that's how Oda felt when people even talk to him in sort of practical terms about the impossibility of his dream, and to just chase it anyways. And to, it's almost, or even like, I know that we all have sort of different sides of ourselves that can pop up. Sometimes the side of the practical side, I'm sure, even of Oda's own mind, is like this, at times probably, I'm sure, has been like, this dream is silly, I am not going to be able to achieve it, maybe I should do something more practical, this is just a little outlandish. All of that, you know, all of that maybe is one side of even his voice, and then he has to like wind up the little kid in him that is wanting to go for this dream and seeks nothing other than this one dream. And he ends up and has that little kid, that dream, that big idea, that passion, just kick the hiney of the other voice. Yeah, anyways, that's what I got from that SBS question and answer, and I just thought it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Luffy is working to get back the treasure that Bellamy stole, and he basically lands Bellamy one big punch and steals back Cricket's treasure, which are like those, yeah, just certain relics of gold. But y'all, I turned on the camera because I cannot even, I cannot, like, I'm crying, screaming, throwing up, like I can't even, okay. The previous afternoon on an island in the Grand Line, we see the outline of a very specific checkered scarf and tiger type outfit, and then we see a clown's face. I did not expect that. Oh my God, I'm holding a napkin because, you know, y'all, I cannot. Buggy is back. I just saw him and I had to tell you, Buggy is back. So excited. Oh my gosh. This has just become a very good arc. Like, I was really enjoying it, and now I'm about to cry. Whew. Okay, he's back. I don't know what's happening. I just know that I saw him and I had to tell you, y'all, I just want to be like, ah! stop. Wow. I gotta, whoo, wow. That was, all the emotions. Wow. I'm so excited. Worlds are colliding. Y'all, worlds are colliding. Ace just walked in to Buggy's world. This is amazing. I promise you, I'm gonna stop with these little like 2-second check-ins, but Buggy knows Whitebeard and gives him mad respect. He knows that Whitebeard is the only man who's ever fought Gold Roger and lived. His strength is legendary. Oh my gosh. And you know who's becoming legendary? Whitebeard. He's the world's most powerful living pirate and the one closest to the One Piece. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. I can't even. And so since Ace works for Whitebeard, they're not going to mess with Ace because he's part of Whitebeard's crew, and Buggy knows what's what. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And he said a long time ago, I met him on the Grand Line. It's just too good, y'all. It's too good. We also meet the 5 elders, supreme leaders of the world government. So many questions. So many thoughts. I'm like baffled. This world just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's amazing. How many times can I just like gush in this video? It's got to stop. And we meet a couple of warlords. So we meet Sir Don Quixote do Flamingo and Sir Bartholomew Kuma. Wow. Y'all, I am just having too good of a time, okay? Like, this is just so much fun. I was literally just saying in my last video that I wanted Hawkeye to show up again very soon, and little did I know that he was gonna show up in this arc. Oh my gosh! Like, this is so great. Now, I did say I wanted him to show up so that he and Zoro could fight again because I want Zoro to win, but this is like a nice close second of seeing him again. Y'all, oh my gosh, little did I know that this like sort of weird vloggy video would turn into this. I gotta cool my jets. Like, this is just so much fun. We also meet Lafayette, who is the sheriff from the West Blue, notorious for his brutality. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a banging outfit. It's like a one-piece overall set that's in all black, and a hat, gold earrings, and a flower printed shirt with pointed boots. What a banging outfit. I am loving that. And we're getting to meet all these new characters. This is just amazing. We finally see Whitebeard's face. Oh my goodness. So it is, what a picture, y'all. What a picture. So he is getting the medical attention of like several nurses, but he's also like massive. He is a massive human being. Is he a giant? All the questions. And his real name is Edward Newgate, the great pirate Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. No joke, he's like huge. Like, he could probably carry in his arm probably like 15 of the nurses that are doting on him. Interesting, interesting. And he also doesn't have a white beard. He's got a banging mustache, but he doesn't have a beard. And he looks kind of banged up. So I don't know what his backstory is, but my curiosity has been piqued. So after Luffy beats Bellamy in like one swift mega punch, and gets the treasure, he comes back and he finds that they've made the merry-go something with wings, and so now the merry-go technically probably can fly, and they hit the waters. They are navigated to the correct spot because they have the south bird, and Cricket's kind of final farewell is talking about what an adventure this is going to be. And then as everything is really coming together so that they can be launched to Sky Island, on their tails are another pirate crew following them, and there are new bounties on Zoro and Luffy's heads from Alabasta, and so it's like this ship chase as the atmosphere changes and things look like they are going to get bananas, and they indeed do get bananas, because at one point they're sailing like straight upwards, and the final thing is that Nami gets the merry-go to fly. It's so Peter Pan, like the flying ship, but in this way that's so incredibly magical. It's got its own unique brand of magic. They're on their way, I believe, to Sky Island, and it just feels so beautiful and so exciting. And I'm so glad that I've been able to share it with you. It was so good. I'm so excited to read more. I loved it so much. Y'all, this was great. So many questions have opened up. We're meeting the higher ups. We're meeting the people in the government. We're meeting the 7 warlords. And it's just been amazing. It's been amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming along on this wild journey with me. I really appreciate it. It was so cool to see Buggy again. Tell me, what was one of your favorite moments in this JAYA arc? I would love to know. And yeah, that's it for me. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.